of the Destiny Church. Hello, ladies. My name is Deborah. I am the leader of Destiny Church of Chattanooga's women's group, and we are live. So excited, so excited, so excited. We have some wonderful women with us tonight. And we're just going to go through a little bit of their story they want to share with us and just share with some of their trials and how God has blessed them and worked with them, to come out of this. So before we get into that, I also want to introduce my counterpart, Dee Thomas. Dee?
Hello, Facebook family and friends. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yes. So we don't want to waste any time here because let me tell you something. These ladies have some tremendous, tremendous stories, and I just want to be able to take the time to share what they want to share with us. So before we get started, a couple of things that I will ask you to do. I am asking that you first click like. Secondly, share to all of your friends because you do not want to miss this. And the last thing that I will ask you to do is subscribe. This channel is for all women, no matter what your age is. It does not matter, no matter where you're located, demographic, it doesn't matter. We want you to be a part of what we're doing here at Destiny Church of Chattanooga. So the first lady that I would like to introduce, hopefully you have already done all of your shares and your likes and all of that good stuff. The first lady that I want to go ahead and introduce is Anquinette Cameron. She is the proud mother of two, I'm sorry, she's the proud mother of four young men, Kamani, Jadarius, Edris, and Jarius. She accepted Christ at a young age and ensured that her boys were raised in the church and have their own relationship with Christ. Her relationship with God gave her the strength in the unexpected loss of her late husband, Ed Cameron. She lives each day by the mantra, always be kind, as you never know what someone is going through. She has her master's degree in social work and have worked in the child welfare system for 20 years. When she's not working or participating with her boys, many activities as their biggest fan, and she enjoys spending time with her family and friends, traveling, watching sports, and listening to encouraging speeches. Want to welcome you, Miss Anquinette Cameron. Welcome to the Facebook Live, lady.
All right. Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you for having me. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm
Yes,
thinking we can
ma'am.
get.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for
Hey,
accepting.
everyone.
Yes, yes. All right. So before we start any of our questions, we're going to also introduce another young lady. And I had the opportunity to meet her last year, and she and I had quite an extensive conversation, and we're kind of traveling in the same direction as you'll see, not with her story tonight, but let me give you a little bit of information about her. Since rededicating her life to Jesus Christ, moving faith forward and purpose driven, while serving others and growing spiritually, professionally, and personally, has been the mission of Dr. LaRonda T. Jennings. She first accepted Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior at the age of 10. Through life's choices and challenges, Dr. Jennings made the decision to rededicate her life to Christ in her early 20s. Having grown up in church as a pastor's daughter, she served in various roles such as children's church director and teacher. As Dr. Jennings has moved faith forward through her professional career in K 12 education, she has served at 14 schools and organizations in various roles, beginning as a substitute teacher to currently serving in a central office position as a social, emotional learning, and behavior coach, serving the 7 schools in Hamilton County that have the most opportunity for growth. With nearly 18 years of experience serving youth in the spiritual and professional realm. Dr. Jennings gratefully accepted that being an educator and coach is part of her purpose. During the year of 2020, God revealed another layer of her purpose, which is centered around her passion for poetic expressions through writing, as well as motivational coaching and speaking. Rebranding herself as Dr. Ron Jen, her podcast Bible Blazer and a Beat was launched August 31st, 2020, with the mission of inspiring others to move their mindset, amplify their ability, and pursue their purpose. Dr. Ron Jen plans to continue to learn and share divine truth while growing her business as an author, ability awareness coach, and motivational speaker. Currently, Dr. Jennings is a member of Grace Point Church of Chattanooga, serving as the singles ministry leader. Her belief is that the world will experience turmoil until every person is utilizing their unique God-given purpose to serve and love others as Christ loves us. I present to you Dr. Veronda Jennings. What's going on, ladies?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Such an awesome bio. I sat the other day and I read both bios and I thought, wow. Um, Two solid, strong, God-fearing, Christ-loving women of God. Journeys were different, and that's okay because we all have our own journey. But to God be the glory, because even though we all have our own journey, He has a way of bringing us all back together. And so tonight, I just want us to share. I want you ladies to share not only your journey, but how God has helped you and elevated you to the next level of each of those journeys. So I'll start with Miss Cameron here. Mother of four. That's a journey within itself. But then as I read on to, experiencing loss with your husband, and you have four boys. My first question to you, thinking back on the loss of your husband, do you feel that the loss has strengthened your faith in, in this unexpected and uncertain season? Talking about in an uncertain season. So that journey of losing your husband, your best friend, your confidant, your man, how has that strengthened this unexpected season that we have now? If you don't mind speaking to that.
Sure. And like you said, when you experience a loss like that, so unexpected. And so my world changed in a matter of seconds. World I knew for over 20 years, everything. And so what do? And it went to the point of, all that time we had raised the boys, keep God first, keep God first. And everything you do, keep God first. But when you at a breaking point and you sitting there like, this keep God first ain't working here. Because you're caught up in your own feelings. You're caught up in your own why me. You're caught up in your own why my boys. You're caught up in like, Lord, why you didn't step in to help? And it gets in the way. So for my prayer was I started to pray, Lord, okay, I'm gonna need you to get in this with me. I'm gonna need you. Your word tells me that you wouldn't put more on me than I can bear. You didn't say it wouldn't be heavy, but you said you wouldn't put more on me. And I'm at a breaking point. I'm at a point so I didn't know what to do but to reach out. And that's what has helped me on this journey. that has what grew me closer to him, because I'm like, oh, I gotta walk with you. You say walk with you, talk with you. Yes, that's what I need to do. And I'm gonna put the ball in your court. Because if it was up to me, probably wouldn't be sitting here doing this with you today. But when I gave it to God and it was hard, it still can be hard. It still is those days that are very hard. But I just learned to trust God. I learned to trust God. And I always say you don't want anybody to think that it's been easy, but I do want them to see when they say, "Oh, you such a strong woman. You so strong." And I just want you to know God, but God. And so in that, I had to show my boy this doesn't define us. This we're still gonna do what He would want us to do. He's sitting right here, and we're gonna still press on, and we're still gonna let our little light shine and keep moving. And that was my prayer. Like, God, you got to walk with me through this. And here I am today. Thank you.
Wow, that's an awesome testimony. And I think about, when we think about this COVID season, you were allowed to look back and say, God, you brought me through that. You can bring me through this.
Yeah.
And so that right there is the message that I think is so important for us to get out. Now, let me ask you this quick question. Was there any anger in a period of time that you had to like go to God and say, for real, like you really did this? Like, seriously, God, like what were you thinking?
Of course, I have to be very transparent. And you sit and think, you like, Lord, I have been trying to be the best little wife, the best little mother I could be. My husband took pride in being a husband and a father. I could have gave you some people you could have took. I'm telling my truth. I could have gave you some people that could have. But it is. So yeah, you do get angry. Yeah. You do question. You do. But one thing, it didn't waver my faith. Even on those days where I said, I ain't praying today. Me and you ain't talking today. And I laugh at it all the time because I get a text message, listen to something, or I could go on Facebook and it's encouraging, and I'll be like, there you go. You said, and Cornell, you ain't winning this. I'm in this thing with you. And I just need you to continue to trust me and continue to believe at you. Yeah. So yes, when I look at my boys and I see them, especially at those times, like my oldest son, our second oldest, just graduated from college, and you sitting there like, not here. My son got his driver's permit today. My husband lived to see his boys. As his words would say, mine right there. He took pride in young Black men. And so it gets in a way when you see them. And then my prayers like, Lord, I need you. You're going to have to send some people. I got these boys. You're going to have to send me some men around here that's going to help us along the way.
Woo, can I tell you? He'll do it.
He will.
He'll do it. Yeah, that's a whole other story for a whole nother day. But I can tell you right now, just from experience, he'll do it. If you asked him that question and you prayed about it, he'll do it.
Can I ask a question? Like when you were going through those times where you were angry and when you had those moments of I'm gonna be okay, and you discovered that God is your friend, what was that like?
Wow.
You know what? And that point is, I think about, being young, and I always say, they say that joy comes in the morning. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And I kept saying, what morning you talking about? When is that morning coming? Because I literally thought the next morning. But when life has been was good to me. And so it was easy to say, yeah, I thank God for everything. Yes, I thank God. Keep God first. That was just a but I didn't have anything left in me. And I was broken. And the word tells us God will be near the broken heart. I didn't have anything, no fight, no way of how I was going to go from day by day. And that's when I truly knew there was, because, when you're going by your business and going by your life and you're like, okay, I really ain't never went through anything. You really, I gave him the glory. But when I was broken, that's when the glory came in, and I was like, "Ooh, wait," because everything I prayed, everything when I'm sitting there, and I had those moments where like I got to shape this. I just started praying. I need, Lord, this is what's gonna help me get through. Or Lord, I don't know if you know what to help me get through.
Yeah.
It happens every time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good right there. Well, Dr. Jennings,
Dr. J.
you were very young in accepting Christ in your life.
Yeah.
But something happened that caused you to rededicate yourself to Christ. What was that thing? And not necessarily having to go into full detail, but give us a snippet of that thing, that moment that you said, I got to get back to God.
So I would say in general, running with having the wrong support, having the wrong circle, running with the wrong circle of friends. But I'm gonna say that one thing was when I was sitting, I remember it very clearly. I was sitting in my apartment, and at the time I was living outside of God's will. I was in a relationship, but I was living, I was shacking, as we would call it. And I was sitting on the bed, and I just knew it. I said, Lord, this is not it. I know this is not it. This is not your will. This is not what you would have me to do. And I was, I remember crying. I was I had bills all around me because I wasn't with the person I was equally yoked with. And so I was carrying a large weight of the bills myself as a young woman in her 20s. I was in school, and I was working as a teacher's assistant at Dalewood in schools, working on my education degree. I was working part-time at a daycare. I was doing all of that to make sure that everything was okay in this relationship. And I said, Lord, if you get me out of this one, I know we've all prayed that prayer before. If you just help me get out of this,
wow,
I promise that I will serve you.
Wow.
And in that moment, I just felt just a relief, and it gives me chills even right now, because it was actually the feeling that you have when you surrender, surrender and really seek out God. And so I would say that just being around, or in a relationship with the wrong person and not really having that accountability. Of course, I've always had my parents, but not really having that accountability to say, Rhonda, you're in the wrong. You need to move on. And so I would say that was it for me. Just being in a wrong relationship.
Yeah. Well, I think Dean has a question to follow up there.
Yes, LaRonda, you in my business. I remember leaving a relationship that I shacking and getting back into school to finish my degree, and had been away school and knew what to do, but none of it was working. So I hear you when you say, Lord, it's got to be something better. What was it? Tell me what it was like when you found out that God was listening and it got better.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't actually have to end it. He just took him away. The guy that I was dating was a truck driver. He drove over the road, and so it was just one day. I literally never heard from him again, literally. And I was just like, okay, Lord, now that hurt. It hurt, but it was just like, okay, Lord, if that's the way you're gonna do it. I didn't picture that. So I call that gracefully broken. Like, Tasha Cobbs Leonard, like that song resonates so much with me, because I've had a few of those moments in my life. That it happened that way. But that's when I could see God's hand in that, because he knew that within my small amount of strength, like I couldn't do that by myself. I could not at that age. I could not break off that relationship. And God just kind of took him away. and said, you asked for it. And so now it's time to really walk with me. And so that was how that encounter went.
Talk to the young lady that is trying to figure out how to get away from that. And it's not all the time a toxic relationship, but it's not a beneficial relationship. Because sometimes you can be in a relationship and it's just, hey, we're going on day by day, but we know that is not the relationship that God wants us to have. And in your heart that that's not it. So talk to that young lady that is feeling that despair right now and saying, I know that I should not be in this relationship, but I don't know what to do. Talk to her.
So this particular thing, you're in my business, Deborah.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
The Lord probably dropped that in your spirit. Like she has experience with that too. So this happened to me probably about 3 years ago, where I had to do the breaking off. When you feel that, when you know that the relationship you're in is not aligned with what God has shown you to do, and the path that God wants you to do, like the heaviness of that, you just have to surrender. Like it's too much to bear. Continue along a path where it's not aligned. And I think from experience of knowing how good God is and how faithful He is and how relentless He is, and the of us really yielding to Him and following His will. When you know that feeling, it's easier for you to surrender.
I got you.
It's easy for you to say, okay, I'm done. I can't carry it anymore. Yeah. So what I would say to a young woman who may be experiencing that right now is just seek God. Spend some time in prayer alone. Kind of remove yourself from any distractions, so you can really seek Him and see what it is He is wanting you to do. And He'll speak. He'll speak. So that's
good advice. That's good advice. For all of you young ladies out there that feel like it's too hard for you to do, let me tell you something. This is good advice. Take it, pray about it, pray over it, write it down, do what you need to do, and ask God to remove that thing. And He will do it. You listening to Dr. Jennings here, and she's telling you she's been through it. Now, I have a question for Miss Cameron. Talk to that mother that may not have necessarily lost a husband in tragedy or tragically, but daddy just decided to leave. What would you tell her when it comes to raising boys specifically? Because you have a boy.
That one thing, when you're looking at your life as a young person and you're seeing that, and my goal was never to be a single mother. It was never to be, it was, to have a family, raise my children with my husband, and with my youngest being 13. So I would say hold them accountable. You have to hold them accountable. Don't make excuses for them. Don't make excuses saying, well, they not here because, no, because mama's still here and you represent mama, but you represent dad anyway. And we're going to push on anyhow. I say, if you don't have that family around you, that male support to give them that male perspective, get them in groups, get them with mentors, but don't let it be a scapegoat. And I laugh and I tell people this all the time is, we really wasn't a Jordan family, you know. And this baby boy, my older boy, say he gets away with everything. So I say them sympathy joints he got on, you know, it's like he want them. Okay, we're gonna get him. But I hold him accountable. I'm not letting up off that boy. And I think it's important. I think we love, you know, especially with raising and that, you know, that thing of I remember my husband telling me a while back, he said, baby, you handicapping them. He said, you right there. They go to for everything. They got to learn to fall on their own. You can't be right there to catch them. He said that's what makes them a man. That's what makes them who they are. You got to make mistakes. Now you got to help them go through it. So we can't be right there to catch them at every fall, even though it's hard, even though it's so nice. You sitting there like, I need to bail them out now. But then you want to. But in that, I say it's more importantly to be a part of them, to be as they know. I'll be like, I want you to have it where you can come to mama. Now, sometimes if we might have to go there, you might have to get fussed at or whatever, but I do, and that's okay. And surrounding them with other men, and that was my prayer. Like, Lord, said you'll be a father to the fatherless, you'll be an orphan, you know. And so that was my prayer, to pray for those who I'm like, I don't need no negativity. You're not gonna have not now one of mine. I got to raise them. But I think that's the thing with especially raising young Black men is hold them accountable.
Yeah, I like that. And Dee, you had a follow up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what would you encourage the single mother of multiple young men who doesn't know yet to pray for godly men to be sent into their path to lead them and offer them some manly advice? What would you offer, say, to the woman or the young lady who's in that same position, who may not have had a husband, or who may have just have boys with a man or two?
And you know, the big thing, one of the things is, and I always think about this, as when we say God, you know, what about those who really don't have that relationship with God? But you know that you're around men, or you know great men that's around you. And I think that the hardest part sometimes is to ask for help. We want to ask right when we're at a breaking point and it's too late. But you know what you need. Be okay with saying, hey, I'm a great mother. I'm okay. I'm a great mother, but I know I can't show them these things. I know I can't talk to them about these things. Yeah, mama is always gonna be. Well, reach out to those that are around you. If you're not connected to church, you know, it's easy to say, go get connected. But I just can't walk out the door and get connected. It's usually that somebody got to pull you in. But think about your circle. Think about your kids play sports, they involved in activities, the males around you, the males in your family, and just say, hey, and build those relationships. I think it's very important to just connect them with, you know, great men. And, you know, also who's been through some things they can come in and say, hey, I did this, I learned, but I don't even want you to go down that road.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's good advice, because one thing that we always have to remember is that our kids are not going to be with us forever, and we're raising them to be survivors through Christ. Because it's one thing to try and do this life on your own, but it's a whole nother thing when you have God to give you some guidance. So that's good stuff, because what you're doing is you are not only looking at their now, but you're looking at their future. So I kind of want to shift just a little bit when we start to talk about future. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening now and the impact of what's happening now, how it can impact our future. Okay. So this question is to both of you ladies. So we're talking about faith filled in an uncertain season, right? Why is it important to be certain in this season, in where we are, and where we're going. Why is it important? So when I think about what's going on in this season, I think about, all of the fights and, everything that's going on in the government. The churches are no longer filled because of our current situation. But even though we are in this current situation, we're also certain in this situation because we have God with us. But why is that so important for us to be certain in this season, in this COVID season? Because that's what I call it. It's a COVID season. It's going to eventually pass. But why is it so important for us to be certain in this season? So when we are on the other side, we are prepared for where God is taking us. Either one.
So I'll say, if we're not certain in this season, where we have the physical restraints, we're kind of forced to, be still and not go certain places and be around so many people. That the uncertainty has the possibility of hijacking your mental state. If you are uncertain, it has the possibility of just holding your mental state hostage and putting you in a place, meaning the overconsumption of the heaviness of what's going on, all the things you named: COVID, racial injustice, the economy, the politics. In my world, virtual teaching and supporting teachers with the transition. If we are overconsumed with all of the things that are going on, it can cause you to question God's promise and His sovereignty, and it can get you to a point where it starts to mess with your mental. And so the importance of being certain, it's important. Like, we have to be certain. We have to be committed to God. We have to know that His promises are His promises. The truth is the truth. And if you're not certain about the direction that He's taking you during this uncertain season, we know that God is God. We know that God is God, and we know that as long as we are leaning on Him and His truth, that He will lead us to the right direction. So we have to be certain in Him. But if we're not, it just has the possibility of messing with our mental state, which unfortunately it probably has done for some.
Right. And that's why it's important for us to be certain, because we know this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so just knowing everything that God has taken us through, that this is one more thing that He's going to take us through. Did you want to add to that, Ms. Cameron?
I do. I want to piggyback and go in a little bit of what Dr. J said. I think one of the things, and speaking to the women, because this is a conversation for every woman, is asking for help, seeing that you need some additional help. Mm-hmm. I've talked to so many ladies and so many that, depression has came out, anxiety has come out. And yes, you're praying, you're reading your Bible, you're, listening to these videos to help encourage you. But sometimes we like to go along that journey by ourselves. It's easy to say, and we need to realize when we praying, God send those to you along the journey. And I'm guilty. I am guilty. I have always just been that very independent, very, to me person. I went to my husband about things, or would call my mom about things, but that was it. Mm-hmm. I laugh talking to my friends now, I can joke about some stuff now, and they be like, what? That happened? Because you stay to self. But bearing that in, holding all that in, especially in this season, in this COVID season, where you've learned yourself, you learned when you have to sit in and think about it, it is important to reach out for help. It is important to have accountability. It's important to be able to call that one person and say, hey, don't judge me. This is what I'm going through. It's important to have that prayer warrior. But sometimes we like to go about things on our own, and that's not good. That is not good. That's when we need to reach out. It ain't saying go out on Facebook and put all your business on Facebook.
Right.
It is an accountability point. And I think it's and I speak to those who doesn't necessarily have that relationship with God, because it's easy to say, hey, I pray about this, I do this. But what if I feel like I don't have that relationship like that with God? You got to have some prayer warriors with you to help you get that relationship, to help you along that journey. So you got to get people in. It's just like we're teaching every day. We tell our kids, hey, you don't know everything. We don't know everything. We don't, and we're still, all of us are still growing with the Lord and growing His word. And so I think speaking to the strong, that we got that power. We just want to be mighty strong, and we got this. God gave us some tools. God gave us some resources. Let's use them.
Yeah. He also gave therapists as well. You talked about how if you don't have, people around you, the accountability, there are some amazing therapists in our city, outside of our city, that do virtual therapy. And I know that I have a few people that are close to me that have really had some, their therapists have really helped change their life. And so just not being afraid to reach out for that type of help as well.
I have to piggyback on that one.
I was gonna say, I want to piggyback on that one too.
Yeah, therapist is great. I tell you, I have a wonderful therapist, but just want to kind of add a little bit of to what you ladies were saying. When COVID first hit, and they put everybody, that everybody had, had to go home. One of the things, and just kind of going back to what you all were saying, use your resources. One of the best things that I think could have happened was, even though our church was not open, but we, Pastor Cheryl still allowed us to go in and do praise and worship. And so that was my time to be around other people to get that strength that I needed, because I'm in the house alone. I had to put my mom in a safe place to make sure, she was not, because she's in a place of, she's that vulnerable where it would be easy for her to get COVID. And so I said, I need to put her in a safe place. But then that left me in the house alone. So just having those resources of, people, just, being able to go and talk to, even though it was just 3 or 4 of us, but being able to go to church and talk to them that one day out of a week, or like you said, have that solid circle where, I can text D and be like, D, this is what's going on. And D come back and say, well, I'm praying for you. Or, we get together and we share prayers together. And, so you got to have that. It's important. Don't think that you can walk or run this journey by yourself. That is impossible. If that's the case, then God wouldn't have put everybody on this earth. So, but D, you had something you wanted to add?
Well, as a person who works in the mental health industry, it's better. I'll say this: it's better to go and get help. Go and talk to somebody. Use your employee assistance program if you don't have insurance. Talk to your human resource department. It's completely confidential, but going to talk to somebody is a lot better than snapping and having a lifetime of regret. And then we're talking about trusting God. My new motto is, okay, in that unsureness, or even when it creeps up, it's like, nuh-uh, God, I trust you, and you have a plan, and just leave it right there. And it's it can be challenging, but when you're all in, knowing that God has not failed, it's like, what, you look back, did it before, He'll do it again. So
yeah. And this question is going to be to both of you ladies. What have you learned about yourself in this season? I don't know if you had the opportunity to stop completely, and kind of go in the house and really think, about what your future, what your current state and your future look like. But I know for me, I can speak to what I learned about me is that when everything began to shut down, I felt this fear come over me. And I've always felt that I was a very strong person, pretty solid. But there was this fear that came over me. And I had to really, just lean in on friends. I had to really lean in on devotionals. And, I have a group that I talk to on a day to day. I had to really lean in because the fear began to kind of take over. So that was God saying, see, I want you to be able to see that within yourself so you'll be able to address it and then do something about it. So what is it? What's that thing that you've learned about yourself in this season, since this season has been a very quiet but noisy season? Either one.
And Quinette, you can go.
Okay, I'll take that. One of the things I've learned in this season is, and I'm gonna say is, I guess I have it like now. I feel like when I experienced that loss and went through that, I have the mindset of if you could get through that, you can get through anything. And so it was more of defining who I was in this season. As you go along, all this time you think about it like, oh, you was you Coach Ed wife, or you was Ed's wife, or you was Jadarius' mom, Edris' mom, Jerry's mom, or and it was looking at me, who I am, what I like to do. So in the COVID season, it did take me because I was in a home alone. So when you're at home alone, your mind can get the plan. But it gave me the opportunity to tackle some of those goals. It's not that late to have goals and not be complacent. It's not that late. So some of the things I wanted to do, I said, okay, write out a plan. And so season of uncertain, I said, this season ain't gonna win. This season, I got some time. I'm not running behind my baby boy doing all these activities. I have some time. And it made me take a closer look at who I am and who I was. And like I said, just defining me, finding my purpose, understanding you want me to do. These are some of the things I want him to do. And he was saying, right time in this season to take a minute and breathe in the same season, the way we can't go and come out this season the same way we came in.
Wow, I like that. I like that.
So for me in this season, I have learned I'm what you call an extrovert introvert. I love being around people. I really do. I love socializing. I love fellowshipping. But I also have to have that me time in order to stay grounded. So I've learned that I have to protect my peace. Like I was talking about earlier, I can't overconsume everything that's going on. So oftentimes, I may not watch the debate. I may have to pull myself off of Facebook for a few days. I have to really protect my peace because I internalize a lot. And with serving 7 schools, I see a lot. I see a lot that goes on, and I take it home with me, and I want to fix everything and care for everybody and love for everybody. But then that becomes the issue for Rhonda. Okay, just taking all of that in can be so heavy, and so I have to protect my peace by pulling away from some things. And COVID forced me to pull away from some things, and I didn't realize that I internalized so much and how important it is for me to be intentional to just protect my peace and in my mind space.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have grown in this season? And this is to both of you ladies. Do you feel like you have grown? Has God revealed any new revelations in this season? I know for me, just kind of give you an example. For me, when everything happened and life sort of stopped, I wanted to take more advantage of, learning more. Even though, I was still in school, but, I would, go out and search podcasts and listen in different simulcasts and things like that. So for me, it was more of I need to grow more spiritually. I need to grow more in my purpose. So that's that. I feel like in this season, I probably grew more than any prior season. Just simply because, you know, as you grow, God gives you revelation, but you also become a little bit more nervous, but you have to be obedient. Once upon a time, I would have been nervous and said, no, not right now. I would have given myself an excuse. But now it's like, I want to be obedient. So no matter how nervous I am or how skeptical I am, I think that something may not work, God is telling me, no, this is what I want you to do, and I need you to do it. And I'm saying, okay, God, I need your help. I'm gonna need you to. So, I was looking at Antoinette's mantra, and I thought about my own tagline was boldness in motion. So I need something that's going to really push me, forward. So I feel like I've really grown more in this season. So do you feel like you have grown more in this season, or you're just, doing more, maybe more serving in this season?
For me, this season, honestly, I have to give God the glory because this has been a wonderful season for me. I sold a lot last year in 2019. I was in a place where the year before, where after the relationship ended that I spoke of, and God kind of really put me on a hard reset and told me to sell my house and move back home with my parents.
Wow.
And I could not understand that. I'm like, I am a 37-year-old woman. Why do I have to do that, God? And it took me actually a year to really obey what he had told me to do. But I did that. I was obedient. So God in this season has shown me that the revelation is that, for one, his unconditional love is just, it can be very overwhelming at times in the most amazing way. But I have to give him the glory because for my obedience, he gave me the goal to go ahead and purchase my second home. I was able to finish school. I went, I had left school and then returned back to school last year and was able to complete this year. And so God has been really good to me. He's been really good to me. And that the revelation that he showed me is that if you trust me and you obey me and you trust my timing, I will show you, I will show you what I have in store for you. I will show you that. And so I have to, although this has been a challenging season for some, I just have to give him the glory because I think that it's, it's just a lot of power behind the message. He really means that. He really means that if you obey and just trust his timing, that he will reveal what he has for you in his timing.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Did you want to add to that, Antoinette?
Yes, I was just going to say, definitely in this season has been a season of growth. We got time on our hands, and I can't understand if I'm not going to say I can't understand if right now, if you're sitting here listening to us and you haven't did anything to grow in this season, reevaluate yourself tonight and say, Lord, I need you to help me along the way because I've grown so much. And as you said, Deborah, listen to podcasts, but it's giving me time, because as my mother says, y'all some busy parents. Y'all just go, go, go. And that is true. You just go, go, go all day long. you go, and you come back in, you start again. And so this time you can enjoy a conversation. You can, grow in the words. You can grow in podcasts. It is so much out on YouTube. Take advantage. Whatever you're going through, you're not going through this alone. You're not a person that went through something. It is things out there. And then you find yourself when you having that conversation with the next person, you're like, oh, girl, that was good. I said that. But it's just that growth. And when you're asking God to lead you, lead me, God. Let me let my little light shine. That's what it is. Definitely.
Right. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, Pastor Cheryl always says that you were talking to our audience, if you haven't, go ahead and start doing something. Go ahead and start learning something. Go ahead and, just stick your foot out there, do something, and Pastor Cheryl always says that God has enough time. Even on the last day of the year, she'll always say, God still has enough time. And so I would say, even if it's the last day, don't go out of 2020 the same way you came in 2020. Grow, read something, catch yourself doing something, but make sure it's positive. But catch yourself doing something. Don't let this season be a waste. Mm-hmm. And Dee, I think you had a question, or you had something you want to add on that. I think you're muted. Oh, okay. Well, when Dee gets, you'll be able to piggyback here in a minute. As you walk through the steps, and I know we talked a little bit about some of the steps that you've taken in growing, some of the things that you've been doing in growing, but as you walk through these steps, and I want you to share this with everyone that's listening. As you begin to walk through the different steps of this journey of this COVID season, what are some accomplishments that you would like to say while I was in that season? And I know, Dr. Jennings, you've already spoken on some of these things, but what are some other accomplishments that you would like to see come out of this when we get to the other side? What are some bigger things some bigger goals, some bigger dreams, that you have already talked to God about and it hasn't happened yet, but you're still trusting God, for this? And this is for both of you ladies.
I'll say that, so going back to the podcast, so I was able to start a podcast. I think everybody should have a podcast. Like, sharing your journey is so important. There are so many people attached to your assignment and your God-given assignment, and your journey is really somebody else. It's healing for yourself, sharing and being transparent, but it's also healing and deliverance for others. And so as I was doing the first episode of my podcast, it was on mindset, and I had written a poem. I love to write poetry, and I had written a poem probably like 5 years prior, about 5 years ago. And I was searching for that poem. And when I was searching for it, I came across a half-written book that I had started. And I was like, oh my goodness. I have a book right here, about 20 pages in my Google Drive. And I was like, Rhonda, you've got to get back to writing. Wow. And so, speaking to that bigger dream, and what I feel like the podcast is helping me to do is actually publishing my own first book. I'm a co-op. I'm in a few other books with other people, but I really want to publish my own book. I want to have a devotional for women, a poetic devotional. for women. And so that is what I'm working on right now. But I just feel like everyone's voice, you got to let your voice be heard. Like everybody's purpose is so unique. And like I said, as part of my mantra, I just don't think we'll get out of this turmoil until everybody is truly operating in their purpose. And so prayerfully, I will be able to, within the next year, be able to publish my own book.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And Ms. Cameron?
And great minds must think alike, Dr. That's where I was going with it. I think one of the things I believe in, one of the things is women empower other women. And sometimes we love to keep in and we don't like to share, but God uses us to be a blessing to others. You know, sometimes you answer to that prayer. And sometimes we're sitting there and you like, I didn't want to say nothing and what is. And I remember when my life changed. And I was sitting there thinking, like, oh my gosh, I don't wish this on anybody. And I don't want anyone. But I was like, people would tell me different things. People compared the loss to, you know, different loved ones. And I'm like, you're not feeling me. You're not understanding. And so that's one of the things that I want to do, because when I reached out and was looking for different type of grief counseling for those who have lost spouses, unfortunately, it wasn't any in the Baptist. It was a lot in the other churches, but not in our churches. And you know, you're still growing in that. So that is one of the things I've been brainstorming, just to listen to different things that I would love to see in our community. And you have to heal from what hurt you.
Yeah.
And if we continue to bottle that in and don't work through it and heal through it, we just gonna be an old hurt little woman. And so one of the things I even though I always say, Lord, I don't want to go over in that place, but when I hear people who've lost their spouse, it's like in me, I'm gonna reach out, because I don't want nobody to go along this journey alone. That they need somebody to go. And I believe women empower women. We are here to help one another.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Here to be that. If you need that wing, but sometimes we are so selfish, or sometimes we're worried about people knowing our business, or sometimes we're worried about that, and that's not it. So in this season, one of the things I would love to see, and I'm growing and just doing this, is like I said, to have that ministry where you can go into support if you lost that person, whether it's a spouse, a parent, or child, but you have someone connected to as a mentor. And I found that group on Facebook. Actually, it was a Black Women's Widow Empower group through Facebook. Dealt with a mentor, and I'm like, wow. And that was somebody who walked along the journey.
Wow, that's good. That's good. That's real good. I think that it's okay for us to dream bigger than what we can actually see, because these dreams that we have, if they're bigger, that means that they're God dreams. We're just afraid to walk into them because we're thinking about our, how our mindset is, or, what our abilities are. But if we can dream, if we can go past our own abilities, then that's a whole God thing right there. And so I think it's important to put it out there to let other women know this is, I'm dreaming big and I'm believing God, the big God that I serve, is going to allow those dreams to come to fruition. But I know Dee has a question or want to piggyback on that.
Well, no, I was just going to share that. I mean, there were so many shares and likes and social media posts about, if you don't come out of this pandemic without a hustle or having grown or started a business, all of these things, if that's not God's plan for you, we got to remember that God has a plan for all of us. And maybe someone's time during this pandemic is to be filled, because 2021, they're going to be the person that God uses to just pour out. So even if you don't have a new hustle, or whatever that you think you're supposed to have, and God has just been pouring into you, be confident in knowing that He is going to use you. And be, you talked about surrendering, Dr. Jennings. I think it's important. My brother in ministry mentioned, you know what, we got to surrender every day. It's just not a one-time thing, because every day that we get up, it's new mercy, it's new grace. And we have to surrender to that once more and again for God to be open, for God to use us. I was just going to share that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're gonna wrap this up here, but I do have one more question that I would like to ask, and doesn't matter who goes first, but as we begin to, because God has given us great revelation, but He also has given us, like Dee said, he's also kind of just teaching us. Some people may not have a hustle or may not have whatever, but as we go through all of the different things that God has us going through within the season, whatever that thing is, as a disciple, because that's what we are. We're disciples. As a disciple and a servant, what do you think? Or let me ask the question like this: what more can we do as disciples for God's people? Because He has put us in places to where we ourselves have grown. So how do we, as disciples and servants, reach back and bring other women forward? I know that's a loaded question, but either one can take it first.
I guess I'll take it first. I think the more important is going to emphasize on what I said, more importantly, of reaching out to others, and helping others. And one of the things I would like to see is, this is conversation for every woman is, especially, I'm sorry, in the Black community, that we support one another, that we stop being jealous, that we stop envying each other, that we stop. It is room out there for everyone. Just your thing don't mean that it's just your thing. It is just room out there. And I believe if we live our light and accordingly, whether we're shining, and showing God's word and how He's using us and bringing those along with the journey, we can't get anywhere by ourselves. You got someone you inspire to be, and then there's someone that's inspiring to be you. So reach out. Like I said, I just feel like if we as women, as Christian women, as disciples, reach out to help one, if we just help one, we brought one closer. If we just, it is just one. If we help one, we brought one closer to God. If we just pull one through, help them go through something, we're making a hurt person become healed. If we just pull one on this business, I got a call the other day, and she said, your name was given to me, and I want to interview you for being a social worker. And then she said, I'm sorry. No, she said, and I would like to set up a time to interview it. And she stopped and she said, I'm sorry, I didn't even ask you would you do it. And I said, it's my pleasure, because I was that young person who needed to interview. Yeah. And so I think if we just reach out and help one another, it is power in numbers. I believe teamwork makes the dream work. If we work this thing together, we are unstoppable women as it is, and we will be unstoppable. And that's what we see come out in this.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. Wow. I would say that a big thing, you touched on a little bit, Deborah. It's very important to see your ability through the divine lens and not your own lens. I have an episode on my podcast about this and how God, it's no way that we will be able to really fully understand what God has in store for us, because it's so big. Like, we won't be able to fathom it. We have to not look at what we can do in our own power, but what God can do in His power through us.
Yeah.
Through His beautiful, wonderful, divine lens.
Yeah.
Our ability will be able to shine. So to couple that with what Ms. Cameron said, reaching out, being able to reach out to women and empower other women and help them understand that you can do it. You can do it if you trust God and see your ability through His divine lens.
Yep. And I like the whole, if you can just reach one.
Reach one.
Just reach one. Because that one will reach one. And that one will reach one. So that, as long as we can reach one, that right there is most important. Dee, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm excited. Women, that's my heart. We all have this. It is no coincidence that God has placed us together at this time. This thing is part of all things that's working together. I'm excited about what's to come.
Yeah, that's good. Dr. Jennings, if you don't mind sharing your podcast, the name, so these we could put it in our on our Facebook line here, so everybody will have that information.
Sure. The title is it's Bible, Blazer, and a Beat. And just to explain that a little bit, those are the three things that give me confidence that I have with me pretty much every day. I got to have my Bible to get my mind right and keep it right. I love my Blazers. I mean, I just do. And I love music. And so that is where that title came from. So it's Bible, Blazer, and a Beat. And you can access it off of any podcast platform, Anchor FM, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. That's where you can access it from. And if you're interested in starting a podcast, Anchor is where I started it, and they will they push it out to other podcast platforms for you. And so it's free, and it's very easy to record. It took me a little time to learn how to edit, but it's free, and you can record it from your phone or from your computer. So it's a great way to get your podcast going without having to buy so much podcast materials.
Okay. And Miss Cameron, I know that you are part of an organization about grief. What was the name of that organization?
And it's actually a Facebook group. It's Black Widow Women Empowered.
Okay.
And I was looking for something, even whatever you're experiencing. And I would close with whatever you're going through. I was just knowing what I needed, and I looked at for widow groups for me. It was some, this ain't for me. Oh, nope. Too messy, too dramatified. And you can find that right one. But I just want to whisper, whatever you're going through, is somebody that's going through there. Find a group, find a support group, go to counseling, whatever you need, because God will bring you through, but He's going to place those around you to help you come through it.
Absolutely. And then I would like to put a plug in. Our associate pastor, Pastor Jay Pratt, at Destiny Church of Chattanooga, she is also a grief counselor. So any of you ladies out there listening, just go to our Facebook page, or just, if you need some assistance, plug it in on our Facebook page. We'll be happy to connect with you. Our very own Dee Thomas that's on the call right now. She's our prayer warrior. You need a little prayer, Dee's your girl. Just put the information out there. You don't have to tell all your business. All you have to say is, hey, I need some prayer, because guess what? That's what we're here for. We're here to pray for each other, to strengthen each other, to grow, help grow each other, to hold each other accountable. So we serve in a lot of different capacities. But we're here to help each other get to that next journey and on to our destiny. So I really appreciate you ladies, but I have one more thing that I want to just kind of read to you and share with the with our viewers. And it was something that I saw in my devotional, and it really helps me get through. I said earlier, one of the things that I learned about myself is that I still had fear. I didn't think I had it, but it revealed itself. And just being able to pray and ask God to kind of walk me through that, and get myself strengthened to where I can stay on this journey. So I do a lot of devotionals, and one that I found and it just resonated and it just hit my spirit. But it talks about let faith rule fear. And it says, sometimes one path to freedom is longer than another. You may have experienced change instantly, fell off in one area of your life, while others are still believing for their miracle in another area. Others may have found freedom while you're still exercising your faith muscle for your breakthrough. It can be frustrating to know God can perform a quick work when yours is more of a work in progress. It helps to zoom out a bit and recognize that sometimes it's not just about accessing our own freedom, but bringing the people around us into freedom as well. How we respond to our weaknesses can either point back to ourselves and our inabilities, or it can point to the power of God. Acts 1:8 speaks to the power that comes upon us when we're filled with the Holy Spirit. And it is by that power that we're able to do what God has called us to do, even if we don't know what his timeline looks like. Paul writes to the Philippians in chapter 4 about this same power, giving him the ability and strength to do all things, regardless of what the details of the situation look like. The truth is, we have all the strength we need to endure any situation. Fear does not have to rule us. We can choose to let faith rule our fear by his power and strength in us. The beautiful thing about choosing to rely on God is that other people get to see God's handiwork up close. They get to witness the peace that washes over us. We may think we look crazy with our hands raised in praise and surrender to the one who is our refuge. But what we're actually displaying is his faithfulness to meet us where we are in the midst of our struggle. The goodness of God doesn't mean he simply protects us from all struggle. And that isn't the message we want to communicate either. The goodness of God means he protects us in the midst of our struggle. And that is where his true character is. It is able to be put on display. What an incredible opportunity to not only tap into our source of freedom, while also showing others the way. Who are the people around you who you get to be a witness to? What do you think your responses to tough situations tell them about who Jesus is and the peace he brings? So I want to leave that with you all, that no matter what season we're in, we just so happen to be in a COVID, but it doesn't matter. With God, all things are possible. Thank you, Dr. J. Thank you, Ms. Cameron. I appreciate
Thank
this
you.
time. I hope these ladies that were on this live tonight, I hope that you have grown just within this 1 hour of knowing that you have a purpose in life. God bless you. Be well. We love you and see you on the other side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.